Looking at an '01 PT Cruiser, and the problem is the valve cover gasket has a severe leak. There was a plastic cover here, just pops off. These rubber grommets just sit on these posts. The air box comes off with these two clips and a clamp around the throttle body. There's a hose underneath and this electrical connection on top. Comes right off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts. One bolt that goes through here. Right here. I already took it out. It just fastens the bracket. And 2 bolts to, I have one more to go, to take off the EGR valve tube, and then this can set aside. There's a hose. Another hose. Connection. Okay, maybe that's enough to get it moved out of the way. Okay, now you can clearly see the oil leak problem all around, everywhere. Here are the 4 gaskets for the plenum. I'm going to reuse these look good. Now the spark plug wires and this coil. I marked these with a Sharpie just to make sure that I don't lose track of which one goes where, just to make it easier for me. Now that it's unbolted, it's going to lay it back behind the engine. The power steering reservoir is held on by this bracket, and there are 2 13mm bolts on the back of the bracket. These are a little over tight, but you can just follow the bracket down and there are the bolts. I can't show you with the camera because they're just too far behind, but they're there. Okay, this is loose now. This is where this is where the 2 bolts went. I'm just pushing it out of the way a little bit so this cover can come off. This is the PCV valve. Not a bad idea to replace that. I'm just going to take this hose off and unscrew the 3 rows of bolts and take this cover off and replace the gasket. A rag over the top of the intake manifold, so just in case I dropped any of these bolts, they wouldn't go down those holes. And I have them all out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we should be able to take it right out. Make sure I got all the bolts out here. Okay, I guess it's just stuck on. I need to pry it somewhere. It's plastic, so be extremely careful when prying on it not to break it. All these gaskets have seen better days. They've been through the heat and the pressure squished flat and not sealing anymore. Someone's tried to fix this with glue, but obviously it didn't work. These spark plug holes, half of them were filled with oil. So we'll just take all this old gasket material out and start fresh with new gaskets. Just scraping this surface clean so that the new gasket will seat properly all the way around. Okay, so I've cleaned up this surface pretty well, and I took out this half circle which came out of right here. I'm going to re-glue it before we put the valve cover gasket on. I dug the old sealant out of it. I'm just putting a bead on here and put it back into place. There. Looked like it had been leaking. Now the new gasket, and we'll put it all back together. You can see the shape and match it up. Okay, this just fits neatly down into the groove. Once it's all the way in, go around it one last time just to make sure it didn't miss a spot. Okay, I'm just checking to make sure it's all the way in. Okay, everything looks great. Back it goes. Just putting all these bolts back in, then I'll tighten them from the center out. After this, I'll take out the spark plugs and clean the oil off the plugs and blast some solvent down these holes to clean the oil out of the holes as well. I'm just taking out these oily spark plugs. Definitely a leak that needed to be solved. Leaking on the inside and the outside. Down the spark plug tubes and out down the outside of the engine. Just clean these up and spray out those tubes and it'll be fine, I think. Okay, worst one yet. Okay. Okay. 4 bolts back in the coil. Now, out of the power steering reservoir bracket, the 2 bolts at the bottom. I put the old gaskets back in the plenum. They look pretty good. Just trying to gently put it back on without them falling out. Okay, now it's just a matter of putting in the bolts for the plenum and the EGR pipe, the bracket, and the hoses. This is the bolt that goes
through the bracket.